Who were your overall? Who was your overall winner and your overall loser from the draft?
Well, I will start out with the loser part. I'd still have to put the Steelers, I think, as the loser. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm looking at their picks here, and I'm looking at everything that they needed, and also the things that they got. And I mean, I'm sure there's some good value here in the later rounds, like their day 3 picks. Um, I'm sure they can come in, but they only drafted they only drafted 2 linemen, Kendrick Green from Illinois, center from Illinois in the 3rd round, and Dan Moore Jr., offensive tackle from Texas A&M in the 4th round. And I'm sitting there, and especially those are the only 2 offensive line picks. They didn't try and even build up and add more depth. So them, to me, I think they're losers by their own fault, so to say,
Mhm.
because I feel like those picks. Do I like Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth? Absolutely. But if you're the Steelers, though, they were much better offensive line options, I think. And we already mentioned Landon Dickerson could come in and play center, so someone that they lost from day one, and so to say.
Mhm.
But then also throughout that, they didn't even address the quarterback position either. So I don't know. I feel like running backs, like the Falcons, they didn't address the running back until the undrafted free agencies, and I'm fine with that because running backs. Who was the guy that played for Denver several years ago, undrafted rookie that ran for 1,000
Oh,
yards?
Peyton Lindsey.
Yeah, Peyton Lindsey. There are guys like that more often than people realize because it is all about the offensive line that's in front of them. You know,
Yeah.
Derrick Henry and Ezekiel Elliott are elite running backs because they do have a lot of gift, like physical tools and characteristics that they come along with. But even then, if they didn't have that with the offensive lines in front of them, they could still rush for 1,000 yards and have some serious impact for the team. And the
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, I think, really just kind of botched it there.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Pittsburgh, I mean, we kind of talked about it already. They had one of the stranger drafts that we've seen them have in the last few years. I just don't
Yeah.
think that they. I think they may have gotten like some good players. I just don't think that they got good value for some of their players. So but my big loser for the draft, and I know you said you liked that the corner they took in the first round, but to me is the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
They won outside of their first and third pick. I don't necessarily think that a lot of their picks were that great. They didn't really address some of their major needs. I think they kind of needed some safety help. They did draft a couple corners. Their defensive line was fairly susceptible to the run game later in the season. They drafted one defensive lineman, but to me, losing Aaron Rodgers or potentially losing Aaron Rodgers, and what's kind of come out about the organization in the past few days, and having to go with potentially having to go with Jordan Love. To me, you just can't. You can't win in that situation, and so
Yeah.
I think they came out a slightly worse organization than when they went into it.
Yeah.
So
No,
so yeah.
That's a really good point as well. Especially then also if that is the scenario. I do still like that pick though, and the organization's got to do what they think is best. But I agree there. Aaron Rodgers is the face of the franchise and lose the face of the franchise because let's say he does leave and goes to Denver. I know that's an option. If he does leave and goes elsewhere, that division is now completely up for grabs, and that division is going to be actually they might be the NFC East of next year because none of those teams are really good. There's potential for some of them, like Minnesota, so to say, but Green Bay, and it's interesting too to see Aaron Rodgers must really not like.
You mean the NFC North?
Yeah, the NFC North would become the NFC East, where they potentially
I thought you were talking about the AFC West becoming the NFC East, and I was like,
Oh, no,
how
no, no,
in
no.
any way? I was like,
No,
yeah.
no, no. Sorry. No, the NFC North would become the NFC East, where potentially even the winning team has a losing record because
Mhm.
some of those teams, Green Bay is the only team that is still all there, and it is interesting. And Aaron Rodgers must really be fed up with some of the people in the organization or the city or whatnot because it's an interesting situation that he's in because I mean he's almost guaranteed the division. Like he's going to go to the division, and also if he's looking at the NFC as a whole right now, he's not. I don't think he's really going to face any serious competition until the NFC Championship. Now the verdict's still out on the Los Angeles Rams, so to say, but I
Mhm.
mean he's getting everything that he wants. He's going to get another NFC division. He just had his first home game, NFC Championship home game, and they've made to the NFC Championship 3 years in a row. Like the team is still good, and now they're kind of a disadvantage because they keep drafting so late, so they can't go and get a Jamar Chase, so to say. But that's
Mhm.
just what's interesting about this whole Aaron Rodgers saga and debate. It makes me kind of question some of it as well, and some of the sources.
Yeah.
It almost kind of seems like when I take a step back and look at how good of a situation it is for Aaron Rodgers and that organization and how weak the division is, it almost seems like it's a prank. It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. To me, I don't think the organization came out of the draft better than they were. I think even if they convince Aaron Rodgers to come back, I think it is a bad look for Aaron Rodgers in that locker. Excuse me, in that locker room
Mm-hmm.
to come back after everything he's done.
Yeah.
So for me, the Packers are the big loser of the draft. I don't necessarily think that they drafted all that well. I think their draft was just average.
Yeah.
But then losing Aaron Rodgers or potentially losing Aaron Rodgers, I think damages the locker room and just the team as a whole. But so my winner for the draft, I think, is somebody that we kind of already talked about. For me, the Jets won. I think they have 3 first round caliber players in Zach Wilson, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
And I just think that they set up really well through free agency, and then their draft just kind of like continued that. I know New England did that as well. I don't like New England's draft after on day 3 that much.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I think the Jets definitely won with their picks. I think they were very, very good. They had one guy. I'm
The
trying to think of his name.
the Jets.
Yeah, they had some good late round picks too.
Yeah, they had Jamin Sherwood in the 5th round after Michael Carter was in the 4th. Michael Carter the second was in the 5th. Jason Pinnock, cornerback from Pittsburgh, was in the 5th. Hassan Hamza
That's
Najmuddin,
it.
safety from
That,
Florida State.
that,
I do remember seeing that pick, and I was like, I didn't realize he fell that far,
that
but I think
that's the
that's a good
one.
value.
The safety. I just think the Jets are going to be an all around more physical team next year, and I think
Yeah,
that is just going to bode well for them.
yeah.
So I think they're the overall winner of the
Mm-hmm.
draft. And I'm a little nervous to be in that AFC East, which was once a cakewalk for the Patriots, but now it looks like in the next coming years we could have 4 teams in the
Yeah.
NFC East that could be fighting for playoff spots.
Well, they all could make the playoff too, honestly.
Yeah.
So there's a legitimate possibility that 4 through 7 are all AFC East representatives, just because they'd all be kind of
Yeah.
battling it out and beating teams. And the division winner could potentially be 9 and 7, all depending on if some
Yeah.
of the other teams
Well, but
are
that's
not doing well.
but it's not just because the team would be bad. It would just be like they have to play 6 division games and go 3-3. Like So I don't know. For me, the Jets won the draft. But who do you think won?
So I know I'm going to go with the team that we haven't talked about yet. Obviously, the Chargers could absolutely be worth this this honor, so to say. But and I mean, and for them, just having Rashawn Slater be their first overall pick, and essentially, I mean, the team absolutely does have some needs elsewhere, but having Rashawn Slater fall to them, 13th overall pick, not having to give up any trades or any other draft picks to get him,
Mm-hmm.
I think to me already that's already like a B plus. I think for them, and then them getting Asante Samuel and then some good receiver weapons later on is worthy. But I want to talk about another team that we haven't talked about yet. And I know you're a little bit indifferent on Jalen Waddle, so to say, and have some questions about his hands. But I think if we're looking just at these first 5 picks, I think that Miami had, I think that they address a lot of key positions with guys that can come in from day one and start. Jalen Waddle could come in and be an absolutely serious threat for defenses and a great weapon for Tua. Jalen Phillips potentially could have been a top 10 defensive end and staying in his college town in Miami. I think he's going to be a great fit, and I think he's going to be tough for all the AFC East teams that they play. Then you get arguably one of the better safeties that was in the draft, Jevin Holland, that can come in and start on day one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still got Liam Eichenberg as their second round pick to help protect Tua.
Mm-hmm.
So
and he's going to kick over to right tackle. It seems like, because they have Austin Jackson at left tackle, and that's right tackle is a much easier spot than left tackle. So
that to me right there, they picked 4 guys and 4 picks, all within the first 42 picks that will probably be day one starters, I think, and I think they all can legitimately provide some serious impact to that team. And you look, and it's kind of, you just talk about the Jets, but you look at the AFC East team, like these 2 teams, I think can come in next year. And Miami was already pretty good. They just missed out on the playoffs, and Tua is going to have now a full year of experience, and the whole organization is going to be around him.
And he's a year removed from his hip injury.
So that to me, I think just to talk about a different team, the Chargers as well could have been another team that could have been number one. But to me, I think Miami is another team that had an absolutely great draft class with the value that they got at all their picks.